Disclaimer. This video was intended for an adult audience only. Viewer discretion is advised. Anything you see in this video, do not attempt to recreate. This video was created for documentation purposes only. Our purpose is education. We are not justifying or glamorizing using substances. What we are doing is educating people on the substances that we have used and what it has done for us. Do not recreate or do not redo the substances we have done just because we talk about it.
Alright, so I want to make this video about a little technique that I do, or you could call it a technique or whatever you want to call it, that I do before I have a psychedelic experience. So, before I have a traditional psychedelic experience, like, DMT, ayahuasca, LSD, mushrooms, if I was to do peyote or San Pedro, like, I'd do the same thing with that, which is, I like to get out all my pain and stress and anger and sadness out a week or at least a day before the experience. It's just what I've been doing for like the past, the last 5 experiences I've had, 5 or 6 experiences I've had, this is what I've done. And generally what I feel like this does is it allows you to experience the deepness of the experience the whole time. Because generally what I believe is that the plants, even if you're using LSD, I feel like it can't show you, and these things can't show you until you get rid of your bullshit. You gotta get rid of the bullshit that's holding you back. Because it's not just holding you back in life, it's holding you back in the trip. It's holding you back from being able to progress deeper in the psychedelic experience. If you're having a hard time progressing deep in the psychedelic experience, then most likely in your physical human life, you have some shit that's going on that you're not dealing with. It's not like you could be in a shitty situation, but the shit you need to and fix that problem, but the shit you really need to deal with is up here. You need to be able to, if you have pain, feel it. Don't just try to avoid it. Don't try to run from it. Don't run from your fears, face your fears. Don't run from your pain, fucking feel the pain. That's because if you don't, the psychedelic will focus its time on healing you. And it's like, and that's another thing. I feel like you shouldn't, and it's not that you shouldn't, but if you're trying to go in it deeply and shamanically and bring out as much information as possible out of the experience, I feel like it requires you to go in it as light as possible. You can't go in it feeling heavy, because you can't have a lot of baggage. And if you do have a lot of baggage, what the psychedelic experience will do is it'll spend half of the experience taking time to work on your problems. But if you spent 2 days before the trip, working on your problems, the psychedelic wouldn't have to do it for you during the experience. And then the whole psychedelic trip can be just a shamanic experience. And this is just what I've been doing, and this is just what's worked for me. But what's worked for me really is just letting out my pain, days prior. I've gone through a lot of bullshit, and I realized what psychedelics do. So I just came up with this idea one day thinking to myself, well, if I cry today, I wonder if I'll cry tomorrow on the trip. And I tried it out one time, and I literally I remember, I cried, I just shattered, and then the next day had a psychedelic experience, and I didn't cry once during the experience. The whole experience, I was able to focus on the trip itself and learn from it, and I could immediately let go. It was much easier to let go when you're not going in the trip with a bunch of baggage. When you go in feeling heavy, you have things holding you back, things holding you down, things holding you down and preventing you from ascending. So that could be, that you need to cry because you've gone through pain and you're avoiding it, or maybe you're mad and you're holding it in. You need to let it out now so you don't end up letting it out during the trip. You need to, I don't know, if you're scared of something, then maybe you should, that you'll experience during the trip, maybe you should face that now. Try to face that now and figure out why you're scared. Because if not, you're going to be scared during the trip. Now you're going to have that base level of fear that anyone has, including me, every single time you do a psychedelic. Right before I do a psychedelic, I feel a little nervous, a little like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just you feel like you know what you're getting yourself into. So, like, if once you know what it actually is, of course you're going to feel nervous because it's not something to take lightly, But, yeah, this is just really what's helped me have better experiences and more impactful and insightful and deep and life-changing experiences and deeper spiritual experiences with these things, because it's just allowed me to focus my mind. I can easily let things go easier because I'm letting it go days before the trip or a day before or a week before. Whatever, you need to let go of your bullshit. And regardless, whether it's before the trip or during the trip, it really won't, it won't matter. It's going to happen regardless. So I figured, well, I might as well try to do this on my own without the, psychedelic doing it for me. And yeah, it's definitely helped out a lot. It's helped me out a lot with just being able to learn as much from the experiences as possible and also genuinely just enjoy them more. Like, even when I could shatter easier, but what's interesting is, like, I could shatter. What I mean by shatter is, like, completely disconnect from humanity, humanness. But it's like I could do that much easier without much baggage. I can go into the shamanic trance, like shamanic trances that you get into, and everyone has their own type of shamanic trance. Like, there's many different types of shamanic trances because everyone's different, so everyone has their own different way of getting in things. But this is just my way of making it easier for me to, to tether my experiences. And, this could be categorized in the experience or in the category of set and setting, but it's a little deeper than set and setting. It's like tethering your set and setting perfectly, like just trying to get it as perfect as it can be for you to have the most insightful and, life-changing and long-lasting effects. Like, when I say long-lasting, I mean, like, long-lasting change, not just short-term change, and then you'll have to trip again in order to get rid of your pain. Like, what this has allowed me to do is it's allowed me to realize I'm no longer as reliant on the psychedelic anymore to, like, get rid of my pain. Like, I used to think, like, I have access to this place and it can kind of shed my ego, if my ego begins to grow, it can begin to shed the ego for me. And it's like, I've come to realize, like, no, sometimes I gotta shed the ego on my own without these traditional psychedelics. I can use the help of other plant helpers like motherwort or cannabis or, kratom or blue lotus, but sometimes, even just being sober, you got to be able to deal with shit, and look at yourself from other perspectives, even when you're not in a higher state of consciousness. So that's really what I've been practicing, more just looking at myself sober, dealing with my bullshit while I'm sober. So while I'm in these experiences, I can just focus on the experience and not on my bullshit. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.